The following video has been brought to you by lovenaturals.com. In this video series, I will explain to you why your hair is often dry and why it is hard to maintain moisture. But first, I must explain to you the basics of the hair structure so that you will understand the language that I'm using and the full picture. Now, hair structure is usually broken down into three parts, or rather, three layers. Starting with the outermost layer, we have the cuticle, which is followed by the cortex, and then the medulla. All three layers combined make up this thing we call hair. Now the cuticle layer, here represented as purple, functions as the protective shield for the protein inside. It has an overlapping shingle structure like the roof of a home or bark of a tree. Human beings have anywhere between 5 to 12 cuticle layers. It is actually transparent. Cuticle has no color. And if that confuses you, well, just look at your fingernails. The cuticle layer covers and protects the protein strand from the outside elements, including sun exposure. And most importantly, the cuticle layer holds moisture in your hair. Now for the cortex. I jokingly call it the Tootsie Center. And for my younger and international viewers, I've added a link to this American pop cultural reference in the sidebar. The cortex is made up of bundles of protein strands. Its structure is quite amazing. The cortex makes up anywhere between 70 to 95% of the hair strand's total mass. It is the source of the hair's shape, strength, elasticity, and color pigment. In my demonstration, I used sunflower seeds to represent the melanin that is wedged in between your protein strands. Now, my model is out of scale. The granules of melanin are tinier and don't bulge out like this. But I wanted to give you a sense of how color, melanin, is distributed inside. The darker your hair, the more you have sprinkled inside. And when melanin isn't present, your hair grows out white because protein strands in your hair have no color. So when there is little to no melanin, you have what we call gray hair, even though it really is white. It just looks gray because it's blending with the rest of your hair. It is also important to note that the cortex layer is where chemical processes take place. This includes hair relaxers and color changes, and melanin is either extracted or added in to change your hair color. Now I want to briefly remind you what you're looking at. The purple ring, again, is the cuticle that shields the hair. The little gray specks that you see represents the protein bundles because there are lots and lots of them packed in. And now the orange that you see represents what is called the intercellular cement. That's a fancy term for all of the fluids surrounding the protein in your hair. This includes lipids, which are a mix of fatty acids, water, and trace elements of vitamins, metals, and other chemicals supplied from your blood, even your drug history. Hair tells so much about you, and this is why scientists can study what people ate thousands of years ago. And lastly, we have the medulla, which I like to call the mystery. When it is present, it is a soft, spongy mass of cells in the center of the hair strand. It can be continuous, fragmented, or non-existent, not there at all. There is still some uncertainty about the exact purpose of the medulla, although many researchers believe it has something to do with regulating the body's temperature. Remember that it is the purpose of the hair on the human body to regulate its body temperature, to provide insulation, and to protect us from the sun. So it slightly annoys me when people get all up in arms when hair is referred to as fur. Well, for all intents and purposes, human hair is our fur. Now for the million-dollar question and the real reason you're here. Why is your hair always dry? Why are you having problems with dryness? Well, it all goes back to the cuticle layer. Remember that? When the cuticle is closed, it protects the protein strand inside. It also helps to keep moisture in. So, in order to keep moisture in your hair, you must encourage your cuticles to close. Now, to my knowledge, the cuticle responds to 3 different forces that I am currently aware of. Number 1, temperature. 2, pH balance. And 3, what I call surface treatment. Now, temperature is pretty straightforward. Heat causes the cuticles to lift and expand, while coolness causes the cuticles to close and contract. As for pH balance, solutions that are more alkaline cause the cuticles to lift and open, while more acidic solutions causes them to close. And lastly, surface treatment, which is a term I've started to use. This includes products that are gooey in nature, including silicones that sit on top of your hair, manually closing your cuticles. Also, running your hands downward closes the cuticles. Keep in mind, as the outermost layer, the cuticle is responsible for giving the hair its sheen or shine, depending on your hair type, when they are closed. And that's all I'll cover in this video. I covered enough, didn't I? Tune in for the next video, which will focus on pH balance.